Seligman speaks of the pleasant life, the good life, and the meaningful life as three ways to kind of look at authentic happiness. And I'd like to just take a minute or two to go through each of these to try to give you a better understanding. And then I will conclude with our hedonic and eudaimonic exercise to try to tell you a little bit more about where you might stand right now, or which of these lifestyles you may be pursuing. And where we are now is important to recognize, and we might choose to stay there, or we may choose to pattern our lives a little bit different, and that's what this class is about. So I'm going to challenge you a little bit um, as we move forward. So when we talk about the pleasant life, this is again it's hedonistic in nature, meaning that we're looking at the pursuit of positive emotions and the absence or the diminishing of negative emotions. And it's like the second bullet point. It just says, you know what, we're going to pursue good feelings, stuff that makes us feel good, which is pleasure, and minimize the pain. And and while this life is certainly a level of happiness and emotionally we can sense it and feel it, there are a couple of other different things that we should consider as we move along. So the pleasant life is certainly a destination for some, and it's a legitimate place for many of us to be, and is certainly more desirable than an unhappy life or one that we are constantly exhibiting and feeling painful emotions. Seligman talks about the good life, and this goes past hedonic and into eudaimonic in nature. And what we're talking about here is a person can be happy, and that happy is in quotations because they don't necessarily show excessive positive affectivity. And with simply that's just the positive emotions. And these are people that uh, would say that they have a higher level of life satisfaction, but they're not necessarily looked as being more happy as we traditionally look at it. And then the third bullet point just talks about engagement and flow. And those are two concepts of positive psychology that I'll share with you a little bit more. But when we are in engagement or when we're engaged and when we seek and experience flow activities, the quality of our life can be enhanced. And again, that's different than just seeking pleasure as we see it. In fact, some flow activities can be really intense, and they may not even make us smile at all. And it just, but when we're in them and when we finish with them, we recognize the importance of those activities in our lives, and it makes us just feel much more satisfied. Now, the meaningful life is also eudaimonic in nature. And what we're talking about here is that when a person can recognize their strengths, their character strengths, their talent strengths, and when they're using those not only for themselves but in the service of something greater, there's just another level of life satisfaction that can be reached. And the meaningful life is something that the PERMA model is designed to try to help us meet. And if we look at it, obviously positive emotions alone are part of the PERMA model, but we don't stop there. We look at engagement, we look at positive relationships, we look at meaning, and we look at achievements. And all of those put together will again allow us to use our strengths in the service of something greater than ourselves, which life satisfaction can just really, really, really be a significant factor in how we feel. So, what does it mean for you right now? And what it just kind of means for us is this: is that when you look back at the exercise that I had you do at the beginning of this presentation, where you looked at your work, what you would desire to do, and how you would pursue that, those statements would either give you more of a hedonic experience or a eudaimonic experience. And we're looking at where your numbers lie. And then we also looked at your leisure activities. Where do you find yourself when you have time, and your hobbies and those things that you do? How do those affect your life satisfaction? Are they hedonic, or are they eudaimonic? And so, again, we're looking just at a number right now to find out a little bit more about where you stand. And again, it's not that's not a static point, meaning it's not ever going to change. It can be quite dynamic. But it's, again, it's just a baseline for us to basically kind of understand what we are trying to do and where we're trying to target our life satisfaction. What are we pursuing in the search for well-being, subjective well-being, and in the more common terms that other people might use is where are we seeking our happiness from?